What mistakes, Jay, do people make when they're trying to figure out what to do in life?
I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is that we get locked in a particular path and we start thinking it's too late to do something. And I remember being in that path where I was in the world of business and being completely engrossed in that space. And I was working at an incredible company called Accenture. And I was there and I was really doing extremely well, but I was feeling like I had a different purpose. And I was feeling like I had more to do. And I was 28 years old and I was inquiring.
Pretty good job, right?
It was a great job. Yeah, it was a great job. And I was inquiring with lots of people in media because I really thought media was where my future was at. And I applied to 10 media companies in London that rejected me before an interview because they said, Jay, you have no communications background, you have no media background, you have no hosting background, you have no videography or editing background, you have no idea what media is because I didn't study media. So I was rejected from those. I then inquired to 3 big media execs in London, which I networked with and tried to find my way through. And the responses I got is go and study media. You're too old to be in media. Everyone who wants your job is 21. You're too old. You're 28 years old. And, there's no money in media, so you might as well just start a blog or something like that. So it was one of those moments where I've heard of all of these things too. So I think the biggest mistake we make is we think it's too late. We think we're too old. We think we're set in our ways. And none of those are true. Some of the most successful people in the world started at 40, started at 50, started at 60. And you don't have to ever count yourself out.
But how do you make that break? I mean, it's so hard. You know, people get caught up at big companies and they maybe have these ideas and these dreams, but then to actually say, walk in your boss and say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, and you don't have to have that conversation. I really recommend that your evenings and weekends dictate what your values are. So if on your evenings and weekends, you're watching Netflix or going to Coachella or whatever it is, then you're basically saying that you're going to stay with that job and you want a lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that. I respect that. I appreciate that. But if you're one of these people, and I know myself and many of the people that I've worked with and people outside in the world that I hear their stories, their weekends are dedicated to the world they want to create. Their evenings are dedicated. So at one point in time, I used to take 5 days a week, 5 hours a day to edit a 5-minute video. And that's really bad odds for anyone who's into editing. But I did that because I was teaching myself the process. And that to me was the journey and this point where I realized that this could be something else. And I think that's the mistake we make, is that we don't expose ourselves to enough ideas to what our passion could be. So how many of us are going to workshops, going to seminars, reading books, getting mentorship, shadowing someone that we're fascinated by? The more we do that, the more confidence you get that this is still possible for you. But I would recommend to people that your weekends and your evenings show your values. That's the time you need to dedicate to build that. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow.
But you got to want it. I mean, because so many of us are exhausted, and at the end of the day, we just go home and like Netflix.
Well, that's the best test.
Right.
The best test is, are you energized? Because I guarantee you, if it's your passion and you're tired after your work day, I used to finish at Accenture at 8, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I would start editing at 9 p.m. and finish at 2 a.m., then wake up at 7 a.m. and go back to work. But it never tired me because I was energized by the process of what I was creating. And that's really the test. Like, that's really the big question. If it's really your passion, if it's really your purpose, if you're really about it, then it will energize you as opposed to drain you. And so for me, if I get home at 9 p.m. and I have to make a video, I'm energized. If I have to get home at 9 p.m. and work on a spreadsheet, I'm gonna be drained. So that's the question mark, is if it's energizing you, then that's real.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.